Welcome, fans, to episode 90 of Rangers Ed. This is your host, Cousin Ed, my co host, Little Ed, and Coach Ed, and our producer, Mikey. What's up, boys? How's everyone doing tonight?
Now that we get the intro live while we're recording, it just gets you a little extra fired up for the episode. So shout out to Nikki Brodzinski once again for that awesome intro music.
Yeah, we got to get a live video of him playing it, like a
That's a
music
good
video.
idea.
And
I
make
think,
that.
I think he could make that happen.
I think he would be very happy to make that happen.
He'd be thrilled. So
yeah, but he's got to wear the Rangers Ed hat, which I just got in the mail from Little Ed. Thank you for that. The Rangers Ed shirt, and while he does it, it'll come out good.
But this might be a tease. You could tell me if it is or not, Cousin Ed. But Nikki is working on something for us right now. I can't reveal what it is, but he is working on something a little special for us.
Yes, that is a tease, exactly, because you can't reveal what it is. That's the tease. There you go.
Nice.
But I'm excited. I'm excited about that. So we got a lot to talk about. But first, Mikey broke the streak. Couple losses in a row of games he went to. He goes to the Panthers game. Nice victory there. What was the atmosphere like, Mikey?
Electric, super electric. So I actually bought these tickets for EA the PA for Christmas. I guess a little bit of a Christmas gift for myself too.
Yeah.
We were sitting down. We were like 6 rows behind the net. We were down in section 8. Unfortunately, we weren't in the Delta Club. Super, super mad.
I thought you said you had it. Did you just misunderstand what it was?
Yeah. So I mean, regardless, it was still super worth
Delta
it.
Advertisement on the seat.
Yeah. But I'll tell you one thing. Seeing the game at that level, you really get a sense of the speed that the NHL is played at. Because seeing it from like above or just even on TV, you really don't get to see that speed when you're really up close like that. So I must say some of those cross-ice passes that Panarin does get through is actually super impressive.
Well, yeah. I mean,
without a doubt.
For sure, man. The guy's a stud.
But the ones that don't get through are not impressive.
Correct.
But it's still you're right. When you sit close like that, though, you can really see and appreciate the little nuances of the game that it's hard to see on TV or even up high. So,
and you almost saw Chesty's goal right in front of you, right? If it went in.
I texted him. I texted Mike because I knew he was at the
You're on the opposite side, right?
Right. So I got to see pretty much every single Rangers goal. So the Rangers were shooting at that net. Right. Yeah, so when he launched that thing, everyone was just, you see it in the air. It's like, oh my God, it's going in. And then like 2 seconds right before it just goes to the left a little bit. I'm like,
I've seen the replay
how does he miss
I've seen the
that?
replay like 10 times, and I still think it's going to go in.
He's never going to get a chance like that again.
Yes,
dude.
The whole Garden would have gone crazy. Absolutely
crazy.
The
house down.
We'll talk about it. But I mean, yeah, that was
part of the broadcast banter too, by the way. Sam Rosen.
Okay, well, we didn't do the broadcast banter yet. So when you say, by the way, it was part of it. But yeah, we're gonna get into a little breakdown of the games after we do the jersey numbers, and then we'll do a little broadcast banter. Coach Ed's got a little coach's corner. We'll do our stars of the week, and then Mikey P is back with the Rangers Ed 150 this week. So got a lot to cover. So let's jump right into the jersey numbers, sponsored by Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey.
Our buddy Oscar, a huge Rangers fan himself, started his company by stitching his own blue shirts. Once he perfected his craft and started to fall in love with his work, the man started to grow. Oscar stitches every jersey with love and dedication to authenticity, which never disappoints. His talent is hard to find in any store out there. Are you like Cousin Ed? You have a lingering jersey curse that every player he gets a jersey of gets traded or injured and hurts the Rangers team? You want to change things up? You want to take an Eric Lindros jersey and make it a vintage Ken Hodge jersey in the late 70s? Got an old jersey collecting dust in your closet? Want to throw your name on the back and add a nice number of one of your favorite players? You can bring it back to life with a brand new kit at Oscar's Pro Stitch. So head on over to Oscar's Instagram at Oscars PSH. That's OSCARS PSH to check out the countless tarps he's already done and to place the order for his next one that possibly can post on Instagram and get ready to wear it to the next Ranger game or any event that you have coming up. Tell him the boys from Rangers Ed sent you and receive a special discount at Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey. Go get him, Rangers.
God damn, Coach, you killed that ad every time. It just gets me. I just picture you reading with the paper in front of your face, but did a good job. So
when we get our jerseys, we're gonna film a video ad with our new threads. So
nice.
All right. We'll see.
We have to wait for Eddie to get his.
Yeah, hopefully I could be involved in something. I mean, geez.
I think they're all going to be done at the same time.
You are involved in something. You do the spreadsheet.
The one that I make errors on and you point out after doing nothing all week. Anyway, so we got 3 guys who wore number 90, 2 guys briefly. Vlad Nemesnikov, remember him, Coach, a couple years ago? Got him in the McDonough JT Miller trade. Ended up having to dump his cap hit for a 4th rounder, but he was a decent little player. He's back on Tampa now. Alexander Georgiev, when he first came up, wore number 90 before switching. And Justin Richards had a cup of coffee with the Rangers in 2021, also number 90. So now, this is going to be a newer trend as we get more and more into the future. These numbers like 90 are going to be worn more often, but guys didn't used to wear these numbers. So, and Coach, we're going to have to come up with some ideas for the jersey numbers when we flip to 100. So we're going to tease that in a couple of episodes. I'm going to put it on Coach to come up with those ideas and brainstorm them, and he'll come up with a good one for us. But,
he said that we should just start over because we gained a lot of listeners since day one. So.
Yeah. Okay. Number 1, Ed Giacomin.
Plus the fact now you have a new number 50. You have guys that came in that
That's true.
Okay.
Well, that's idea number 1. We're looking for 2 more.
So interesting point about that. He's number 50. Will Cooley's talking about. We'll get to that later. Was acquired. His draft pick that he was taken with was acquired for Elias Anderson, who also wore number 50. So that's a little weird. Little tidbit there, but anyway.
Hopefully
yeah. Well, I didn't say ironic because I'm told I say it too much. But anyway, prior to the last episode,
if it works, it makes sense.
Prior to the last episode,
if you don't use it like LOL.
Prior to the last episode, again, the Rangers were 25, 13-7. They went 1-1-0 in these 2 games, 26, 14-7 on the year, 59 points, 3rd in the Metro, 10th in the NHL. Currently playing right now at Toronto. Second period just ended when we started recording, so we may pop in with a live update at some point there. We'll see if any of us feel like taking a look. But so they started at home against Boston, a 3-1 loss. We'll get into it, but I'm still
watch the game in my glasses.
I'm still not that impressed with the Bruins, man. There's something I don't know why. I just don't really see it like everyone else, but maybe I'm probably wrong. And then they're at home.
I don't know how you can't be impressed, but
we'll talk about it. And then home against the Panthers, 6-2 win. Game was a little closer than that score indicates going into the 3rd period. It was well played by both teams through 2, and then the Rangers kind of pulled away in the 3rd for a nice 6-2 victory. And then some other news we'll start off with before we get into that. Artemi Panarin and Adam Fox both voted into the All-Star game. So Rangers going to have 3 guys in the All-Star game this year. And Little Ed, you were saying the buzz was it was fixed. That the league rigged it or didn't care about the voting, or that was the buzz online?
Well, yeah, it was something like where they selected certain people initially knowing that they wouldn't get the fan votes. And then like they knew Fox was going to get the fan votes later on. That's why he wasn't selected initially in the first round. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was the rumor or whatever you want to call it, the conspiracy theory, whatever. So like they just have like their grabs in it, and who's counting the votes?
Yeah.
So like, hey, I don't think they did anything wrong. I don't think the voting was chosen anybody wrong necessarily. I mean, they're all going to be very entertaining players, whether or not Panarin deserves to go or not. I mean, I would like to see Zibby in there over Panarin, I think. But Panarin's going to be great in the skills competition, so I don't think that's a bad pick either. But you know what I'm trying to say. Like the NHL, like I said, who's counting those votes, and they could just pick whoever they want.
Not Gary Bettman. Maybe the Situation Room counts him.
Yeah.
Well, what's the
some
advantage
intern on social media?
What's the advantage of the NHL having Panarin over Zibanejad?
Like I said, the skills. It's not really an advantage, but you can't pick like 4 Rangers. So I don't know.
He's flashier,
but it's also like, it's also like the other voters aren't watching every game like we are, so they're seeing all the points and all the highlight reels.
Yeah, Panarin's a bigger personality. He's flashier. In a 3-on-3 game, I think he's more entertaining than Zibanejad probably. But I voted for Zibanejad and Fox, so I agree with you. I would have picked Zibanejad over Panarin. But I don't look. The way I see it, you could say, okay, so what? Sorokin should have been on the team, and Fox should have been on the team instead of Shesterkin and Barzal, right? I mean, or whatever. They put Barzal with the Islanders, right? It was their pick. So like, so what? Then they vote in Shesterkin? Like, who cares? He would have got voted in anyway. Shesterkin would have got voted in if Sorokin was picked. So I just think the whole thing is stupid, honestly. I mean, they pick 11 guys from each division. It's like there's so many great players that don't make it because every team has to be represented. I just think the whole thing is like it's just like for fun at this point. It's fine. But again, when I was a kid in the 90s, we used to look at the All-Stars and be like, this is the Eastern Conference All-Stars. It meant something. It mattered for like making the Hall of Fame. Like, how many All-Star teams did you make? Like that, it used to mean something for a player's accolades. I feel like nowadays it's just like an entertainment thing. So you just got to enjoy it.
How were they chosen back then?
So you would vote for a starting lineup, and then the rest of the players
they literally used to have the ballots like at the stadiums.
So it was still fan voting, though.
Yeah.
Well, the fan voting was for the starting lineups of each team, though. It was like a center, a left wing, a right wing, and 2D and a goalie. You'd vote for that. Then the Eastern Conference would have 3 goalies. The West would have 3 goalies. There'd be like 7 defensemen that make it.
And it was all based on ballots. It was based off ballots. It wasn't like the NHL deciding, okay, you're playing great. You're on the All-Star team.
No, but only certain people were on the ballot.
Oh, okay.
Yes. No, but you could write in if you wanted.
That's true too. Yeah.
But it would have been a lot of people would have had to write in one guy's name, but
yeah.
No, but I think
that was a lot of fun doing it at the games. I remember that. They should bring that back. Something like that would be a lot of fun.
Yes, I don't think it was the whole team was ballots. I think it was just a starting lineup, and then I think after that it was like you had the Stanley Cup champ or the Eastern Conference champion and the Western Conference champion coach used to coach the teams.
Well, wasn't it for home ice too?
No,
it was baseball.
It never mattered.
No,
maybe at one point for like a year.
I feel like it might have for like home ice in the Cup final, but I mean we can't talk about the All-Star game without talking about the jerseys. They brought back the 1994 style.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Shout out to Oscar. I'm sure he's going to have his hands full, literally, with some orders coming in with those bad boys. But those are sweet with like the Miami colors. Very cool.
Yeah, so I mean, they just had a different way of making the team, and it was more based on individual success that year, and it didn't matter. Every team had to be represented. Yeah, I just think whatever it is, what it is. But either way, I'm gonna.
Everybody's got to get a trophy, Ed.
I know. I'm gonna be there, so I'm gonna be happy to see 3 Rangers in the game. The Rangers probably deserve 4. I think Zibanejad should have made it if it was a regular Eastern Conference lineup or something like that. He would have been on the All-Star team.
Are you going to the skills?
Yeah, I'm going to both for sure. Why not?
Why you better give me a hat.
All right, I'll get you a hat.
I want a patch.
All right, Coach Ed a patch, Little Ed a hat. Mike, what do you want?
I'll take a couple cool pictures.
I'll get you a pin. All right, not a pin set, not the set, but just a pin from the game. But
you better have a lot of souvenirs.
Get him something for his wall.
Also, so we got that to look forward to. Only a couple games here until the All-Star break. So we'll be talking about that a lot, I'm sure. So let's actually talk about some other stuff. We got Brodzinski, a little Ed favorite, gets waived, sent to Hartford. He clears waivers. What about
Couldn't
the
sleep that
decision?
night.
The decision on waiving Brodzinski in favor of this Leschyshyn kid. I mean, I don't really hate Leschyshyn or anything. He's fine. He's a fourth liner, extra spare forward type guy, and he's younger. But I don't really think he's like an upgrade on Brodzinski. Do you, little Ed? I mean,
definitely not. I mean, like you just said, I'm a huge fan of him. My buddy Bear was the one who texted me the news, and he's a big fan of him as well. So we were both kind of a little nervous that he was going to get picked up because he's cheap and he's a really good player. He's very versatile, like we always talk about. I think he could kill penalties on another team, and maybe even play like third line and maybe even break into a second line on some other team. So I was definitely a little nervous. He's a good player, like I said, to like build a team, not around, but like he's a good addition to a young team. So I was definitely a little nervous that no one picked him up. I'm a little surprised. But I haven't seen enough of Leschyshyn, and I was hoping you were going to be able to answer some questions as far as like salary cap and maybe somehow how that stuff went, because I thought maybe that had something to do with it.
And he is the son of Curtis Leschyshyn, by the way.
Yeah, he definitely is. There's not that many Leschyshyn families out there.
No, it was confirmed.
Sorry again, but there's not.
Oh yeah, that's right. I had to apologize last episode for that. So, on the salary cap thing, I mean, Brodzinski and Leschyshyn make almost an equal salary. I think Leschyshyn's like $16K more. So it's not like it really matters. I mean, Leschyshyn signed for a couple extra seasons. He's younger, and he's a more recent draft pick, so maybe they feel like they can develop him. Brodzinski's been a leader in Hartford. I don't really see the way you see as far as it being a second liner or even a third. I think he could be a solid fourth liner. He's been one.
Not on the Rangers. I'm talking about like maybe on like the Coyotes or like another team that's rebuilding. The Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean, if he's on your second line, like your team.
No, not the really Rangers. Bad. Definitely not. I meant a team that could use him, right. His leadership, locker room, whatever, that style of play.
Yeah, I think he brings a lot of value to the organization overall, and I think maybe they were like, all right, we gave you some time in the NHL as a reward. You're going back to Hartford, and they were willing to risk, someone taking him. But I wasn't really worried anyone would take him, to be honest with you.
I mean, I like the way he plays, but
he's a dime a dozen, right, Coach?
Anybody could fill that role. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of guys that could fill that role.
So Coach, that leads me to a point I want to make. And I'm curious what your perspective is on this. Everyone's talking about the trade deadline and what are the Rangers going to do. It's all over the articles and social media. And, everyone's just curious. Oh, they're going to go for a big game hunting and all this. I think a really unspoken area the Rangers need to upgrade is that fourth line center spot. I mean, I just think you look at what they've done this year. They had Carpenter. They waived him, sent him to Hartford. They brought up Brodzinski. Now he's been waived and sent to Hartford. They picked up Leschyshyn on waivers. He hasn't really impressed me that much. I mean, it's only been a few games, but I'm not that impressed. I mean, going into a playoff series, don't you want a little more experience in the fourth center spot? I feel like a veteran, defensive-minded, big-body center might be a good addition at the trade deadline. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a rotating area right now.
I don't know why. I don't know what they saw. There must be a reason why they wanted to kill Leschyshyn. Maybe he's got some kind of a stat or analytic that makes it a positive that they're looking for. I don't know what it is. I mean, they like to hear why that all happened. But again, like I've said it before, we had Eric Stahl for that role. You should have kept a guy like him at $1.2 million or something, and you have a veteran who could still put the puck in the net, Stanley Cup experience. That's like when the Islanders got Butch Goring, and that was the cement of that Stanley Cup run. Teams get that, like Jeff Carter gets on the team. Those are the guys you want. I know Jeff Carter's worth a little bit more, but you want that veteran fourth line center that's at the end of his career, like Joe Thornton, say, 36, 38 years old, but he's going to give you 15, 14 minutes a game and keep
not even just 10 minutes.
Whatever, 8 minutes or whatever. But that experience and that locker room presence and so on.
Yeah, I think well with Eric Stahl, I think what happened he left when he left the Rangers, went to Minnesota. He actually was in a top 6 role there for a few more years, and now he's in a bottom 6 role. So I don't think if the Rangers kept him, he would have been fine with a bottom 6 role at that time. But I agree, a guy like that, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, go get a guy like Eric Stahl, who's had a lot of success and is at the tail end of his career, or even some moderate success. Like that guy in Arizona, Bukestad. He's been on Pittsburgh in playoff series. He's like 6'8". He wins face-offs. Go get a guy like that, a cheap guy, because this rotating hold at the 4 center spot, it's getting a little bit annoying, and it's kind of an important position. And I think it prevents Gallant from rolling 4 lines. You look at the 4th line every night, they get 8 minutes, 9 minutes. They don't have a center on that line.
Before we move on, can I comment on that?
Yeah, definitely.
I think if Drury decides to add a little bit more firepower up top, I think that gives Gallant the power to maybe move Gaudreau into that 4C spot. Because I think in a perfect world, Gaudreau would be fantastic, obviously, 4th line center. Yeah. I mean, if you could roll 4 lines with him as the 4th line center with Gauthier and whoever else, then I think that's a solid VC, whatever. I think that's a solid line. So maybe you could go in that route as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. So if they can add some firepower up top, definitely they can move him down. I think they kind of like him with Trocheck right now as like a shutdown line, like a 3rd line like Tampa had a couple years ago. But yeah, I mean, they need to improve that spot somehow. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they need to improve that spot. Yeah, the Swiss Army. So we'll see. We'll see what Drury does. I mean, if Leschyshyn is the final say, I would be shocked if the Rangers go into the playoffs with Leschyshyn as the 4th line center. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, we get the Bruins game. It's a tight game. Jeremy Swayman stands on his head, and the Rangers just not up to the task. I mean, overall, Coach, what were your feelings in that game about how the team played? Because I didn't think the Rangers played badly.
I thought it was a good game. I didn't think Boston had any kind of great goals. I mean, they were all, like they said last game, like kind of greasy goals. There was nothing phenomenal about them. It wasn't like the Rangers weren't giving up multiple 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, 3-on-2s. They had their chances. They didn't finish it. I thought the game was a very competitive game. Am I happy they lost? No, but I'm happy they competed with the Bruins. I think in a 7-game series, I think they could, something like that, they could bust.
And your boy Ben Harper scores a goal as a Ranger before Sammy Blais. Ben Harper, who had that on their bingo card, that Ben Harper would score a goal before Sammy Blais. Anyway, so Little Ed, what are your thoughts on that Bruins game? Because one thing I noticed in that game was Boston's 3rd line. They had Charlie Coyle with Taylor Hall and Trent Frederick, and that line was a nightmare. And I feel like going into the Florida game, Gallant adjusted the lines again, and he kind of mimicked that. It's almost like he just stole that from Montgomery and was like, "Oh, I like this idea, this line you put together here. I'm going to kind of make my own version of it with Trocheck, VC, and Gaudreau." It seemed to work in the Panther game. So, I mean, do you think? What are your thoughts on that game? I thought that line was one of Boston's best lines.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Boston's been all season. That's how they were when they were missing guys in the beginning. They had the next guy up mentality, and that's how they are every single game. They're able, like we just talked about, they're able to roll 3 or 4 lines consistently, and they can trust all of their lines up and down the lineup. And it's that a team like that is very difficult to play against, especially in the playoffs in the 7-game series. And you look at the last few Stanley Cup champions, and it's never really been that top line that stands out in everyone's mind. It's always that 3rd or 4th line that's like, oh my God, they played phenomenal in those games. So I think that we're going to talk about it in the coach's corner, but finding that line chemistry that the Rangers are going to need, and whether it is at the trade deadline or before that, it's going to determine something like that. And yeah, I mean, coach can probably touch on this too, but I mean, all coaches get ideas from each other. I mean, it's also no secret that a line like that is going to succeed in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, Coach, do you think that, just to add to that, do you think that they communicated maybe after the game, like Gallant called him and was like, "Hey, That was a
it's
good
possible.
line.
A lot of them are friends. A lot of them pick each other's brains. Like when I went to the coaching symposiums, they talk about how hockey is a copycat sport as far as coaching and stealing drills. Not stealing drills, borrowing drills or using drills that other coaches come up with. And, that's why you see like that power play breakout that I can't stand. All of a sudden, every team's doing it.
The drop pass and all that.
Yeah, one guy does it, then they go, wait a minute, let's do this. Or they did it in the
skate up the
AHL.
middle, drop pass.
Yeah, I hate it. But, it's the bumper position in the power play. Things work and coaches see it. They copy it. They just like I do it with our kids. It's just that's how you learn.
Coach just wants to dump it in on the power play.
I think it's a little bit more cutthroat than them calling each other after the game. I don't think they're sharing any secrets.
I don't know about calling each other, but they'll watch videos and they'll go, "That's interesting. Look what they did on that penalty kill. Why don't we do that?"
I don't know if it's that cutthroat. I mean, I could see a phone
call. They're competitive. They're competitive. There's no way they're going to give away any secrets. Come on.
No, I mean that they're not going to.
There's no way he's going to call them up.
It's also like I said, it's not a secret formula.
I mean, the players aren't cutthroat like that, so why would the coaches be? I mean, there's so much movement around the league all the time. All these guys are friends. They handshake. There's no more like of that animosity that you used to see between players of different teams. Like that doesn't exist. So I don't really see why the coaches would have that. I mean, if Gallant and Montgomery go way back in their coaching ranks, I could see them having a conversation and talking about the lineups and shit. I don't know. I could see
maybe in the off season, but not during the season. I got to disagree with you.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I have no idea, so I'm not going to pretend I do. But I thought the Trocheck VC Gaudreau line in the Florida game was really effective. I liked earlier in the year the Trocheck VC Kreider line when they moved Laffy up with Mika and Kako. I liked that idea, so I feel like this is another version of that with Gaudreau instead of with Kreider, more defensive-minded game. But, I mean, Little Ed, if they're going to roll this line as a shutdown third line, fans got to just not even look at Trocheck's points anymore, right? I mean, because you're going to hear that next. Oh, Trocheck only has 12 goals or something. It's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, if his defensive stats are really standing out, or he's passing that eye test still, then it's going to be hard to ignore them. But you just have to. I mean, we talk about it all the time about guys being overpaid. I mean, people are starting to shut up about Gaudreau because I think they're starting to see his importance. But every person you hear analyze Trocheck, they always say like, don't pay attention to his plus minus and look at his face-offs and look at his defensive ability, playing on the correct side of the puck, like Coach Ed touched on last week, or we did the coach's corner last week. So, I mean, if he continues to do that, like we just said, that's a dangerous weapon in the playoffs, having a shutdown line like that.
I think the last two games he had like crazy face-off stats.
Yeah,
and I'd love to know the stat on how many faceoffs were won because you had Gaudreau and VC on that line and doing the right thing and battling their man and winning the puck off the draw. And that becomes a win. Whereas you might have a guy like Panarin who goes, you watch him, and to me, the eye test on Panarin is he's a little nonchalant and a little, let's say, lazy. Doesn't always do the right thing. Doesn't always compete on that faceoff in general. So I'm wondering if that had a lot to do with it. I mean, he was like, I think the other night he was 8 of 9 midway through the game or something ridiculous.
Yeah, he was 63% against Boston, who has really good faceoff men. Bergeron, Krejci, Coyle. They're really good on the draw. And then 65% against Florida. Coach Filipino in those games, 30%, 23%. So
not every guy's going to be, when he gets to 15 goals and he's going to slack in other areas,
Spoiler alert.
He's going to take dumb penalties and so on and so forth.
Spoiler alert, Hedel with 2 goals tonight. Coach just spoiled it, so I'm not ruining anything. But
and one of them was right off the face-off.
That was nice, yeah. So
yeah, it was.
So also let's talk about these lines a little more. the kid line, just generally, Little Ed, you happy to see the kid line back together this time? This is what, the fourth time they're going back to this kid line?
When all else fails, Ed, when all else fails, go back to the kids.
Another
Well, they're not the
spoiler
kids
alert.
anymore, right? They're the young bucks or the bucks line.
The young bucks are back together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so coach, like, what is the thinking of Gallant here? I know he gave some interviews on this. Trying to get Laffy going, clearly. Trying to get Kakko, some more points, and just takes him away from Panarin, Zibanejad, and Kreider and puts them all together. What do you think Gallant's thinking by doing that?
Isn't this coach's corner?
Well, it was going to be coach's corner, but I guess we're going to go into it now.
Let's just do it now, Mikey. Roll it.
Nobody told me this was coach's corner.
I texted it in the group before. Roll it.
All right, boys, bring it in.
Go for it.
Let's go.
Well, I know people get frustrated, but again, if you look around the NHL, watching NHL Network, there's a lot of coaches mixing lines up. It's a constant experiment of finding the right line combinations to get into the playoffs. Fortunately, when you're in a fortunate situation, your team can make those experiments and still be in playoff contention, which the Rangers are in. Boston is well ahead. Tampa Bay is another team. So the good coaches are always tinkering with lines, trying to figure out that combination that's going to be ideal to roll the four lines. To me, that's the goal of any team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens even when the team is successful. Like you just said, a team like Tampa, I remember listening to the NHL radio or whatever, and I texted Cousin Ed during one of our therapy sessions to talk him off the ledge or whatever. And I was like, even John Cooper, a player like John Cooper does it, and the Tampa Bay Lightning fan base are complaining about John Cooper, a coach that brought them to 3 straight Stanley Cup final and 2 cups, So, like, every coach does it, whether the team's successful or not. You got to tinker a little bit, prepare for the worst with injuries, like Coach Ed just said, and things like that. So,
I mean, I look at that first line, putting Panarin with Zibanejad. To me, Zibanejad got that second goal against Florida. When he was playing with Trocheck, Panarin, and whoever was on that other wing, guys were not getting open. So I think if they keep that line together, Zibanejad's going to be putting pucks in the net because he's going to get in the right spot to shoot. Panarin's going to find him. And if you watch like the first half of the season, with Trocheck, he was hitting posts. He wasn't in that, maybe not in the right position, but Zibanejad's got more of that scoring touch than Trocheck. So I think it'll work out well. I mean, that line played; they were on fire that game.
And Kreider, he's a crash the net type player, so it could work.
So that line, I like that line. I like those combinations that they had in that game. I mean, the third line with Trocheck was, I thought, a great decision.
It does. The only thing sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Well, the only thing I don't really like about it is because it does put a lot of pressure on the kids line or the young bucks line. I mean, I know right now they're playing well, but down the road, if the first line is going to be so top heavy, then that second line has a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility as well. They got to take some of that secondary scoring into their own hands, especially like we said, we just talked about that third line being really just a shutdown line. I mean, you got to think VC and Goudreau. I mean, even Trocheck are going to put a few in here and there, but the first 2 lines obviously have to take care of most of the scoring here.
Well, see, I don't. That doesn't worry me. I love that.
It doesn't worry me.
But I think that's what they need. I mean, look at Gallant. What he's saying is, his quote about at first when he put the kid line together, my initial reaction was, Jesus, like, why is he doing this again? I like it, but I want them to play with Zibanejad. I want them to play with Panarin and get some points and like get some confidence. And then I read his quote and I was like, okay, that makes sense. He's noticing them deferring too much to the veterans when they're playing with the veterans, right? So he's noticing Kakko is not being as aggressive with the puck when he's playing with Zibanejad. He's trying to just give it to Zibanejad, which is what anyone would do if they were a young player in the NHL, right? You're playing with Zibanejad. You get the puck. You're like, where's Zibanejad? I need to find him because he's looking for the puck, right? He expects it. So now if they play together, they're all kind of on even, what's the word, level. None of them have advanced to the point where one is too far ahead of the other one in their development or anything. And they can kind of just get some confidence and play and take a little bit of the burden off that first line. They need to do that. If the Rangers are going to win the Stanley Cup, Lafreniere, Hedl, and Kakko are going to be a huge part of that. There's no way the Rangers win the Stanley Cup without those three players taking a step. They need to each take a step. They don't have to become superstars, but they each have to take a step. So I think Gallant's just trying to figure out what's the best combo to do that, and maybe he feels like this is it. I Coach, in the past, we've talked about Panarin with Zibanejad, though, and we've said I don't really see it. But you're right on that goal. I finally saw it. I was like, okay, like if that's what, if that's the kind of thing we're going to be looking at now, is Panarin finding an open Zibanejad for a point blank shot. Okay, maybe
if you watch the replay of that goal, and you see Panarin turn, he's on the off wing, he turns, and Zibanejad is in the neutral zone. He just takes off to that open area. The Panthers guy couldn't even catch him, and he put it right on his tape, got the shot to the right spot. That's what made that play a highlight play.
Was that the goal that Kreider? Was he in front of that goal? I know it was right after the Laffy goal, so I don't know if that was the one.
I don't know if it was that much of a screen. I thought,
maybe it was the power play goal.
That Panthers goalie was, to me, not all that great, but it was just a nice play. The way I saw Zibby, saw Panarin with the puck on the wall, and he just took off for that open area. And I think that's going to happen a lot more. I'm hoping he keeps the lines. I mean, look, every coach looks for that consistency. Every coach would love to have 4 lines and say, from game 1 to game 82, I got my lines. But it doesn't always go that way.
It's not the way it is.
Who got hurt? Who's having a slump? You got to mix things up. It's got to happen.
And it's the salary cap, Coach. Salary cap prevents that. You just can't have 12 forwards that are going to be like there the whole year.
Plus the fact last year, the last 2 years, Panarin was playing well with Strome. And Strome was finding the net a little bit. He was getting in some good areas. Now Trocheck wasn't. It wasn't working out as well. So he made that decision. It took 40 games or whatever, but let's see what happens. I hope he sticks with it.
So the last thing on this topic before we move on, you got that leaves the fourth line in question. So you got Kravtsov, Leschyshyn, and Gauthier in there against Florida. Kravtsov as a fourth liner is not going to work. He's just not a fourth liner. He's got to be in that top 9 role, in my opinion. And then the Rangers clearly agreed. They call up Will Cooley. They send Sammy Blade down to Hartford for a conditioning stint. So Will Cooley makes his NHL debut in his hometown in Toronto tonight on the fourth line with Leschyshyn and Gauthier. So I think, Coach, you're talking about finding the right line combos, but that fourth line is just still in massive flux right now. You got all these possibilities of guys to use, and Gallant's got a lot of options, but there is no stability on that fourth line at the moment.
Well, I think the fourth line in general is a line of players that are kind of I don't want to say it in a bad way because they're all NHL players, but they're kind of interchangeable in general. And I don't think the lines he's been putting together as the fourth line have been hurting. Brodzinski did well for about 15 games. Yeah. It's not hurting the team. And the other guys on the team want the minutes, so it's not like they're punishing, it's becoming unbearable on Zibanejad and Panarin. They want the minutes, and they don't seem to be tired from it. But in the playoffs, I think it's going to mean a lot more. So I think they need to strive for that. Maybe make the move, like you said, and get somebody at the trade deadline. Look, he did it last year. Drury made a couple of nice moves at the deadline. I'm sure he's thinking about it. He knows what it takes, and we'll see in about a month and a half.
Yeah, and Little Ed, you were making a point earlier. I just lost my train of thought. Terrible. But, you made the point earlier about moving Gaudreau down to the fourth line. So, that's the other thing, Coach. You're saying the fourth line is interchangeable, but wouldn't the fourth line be that much stronger if it had VC and Gaudreau on it? And
without a doubt, you've got to get
better
the right
players in the top.
Without a doubt. But I'm saying they're striving for that. but it's not there yet. And
Yeah.
again, in an 80-game season, you could get away with it because they don't need to play the minutes. But in the playoffs, it's grueling. They need to play some more minutes to take that pressure off of the top lines. So that's what they're going to have to. Like I said, that's what he did at the deadline last year. I think that's what helped him a lot. And he's got to make a couple of those salary cap type moves. Whether they're going to get a guy like Kane or something, I have no idea. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think Kane is cooked. But anyway, speaking of Will Cooley, so Will Cooley, second-round pick by the Rangers. Scouting report shows a big physical forward, a power forward type. Guy gets in on the forecheck. He can drop the gloves. He's got a scoring touch, good shot, and plays responsible hockey. Sounds to me like a perfect young fourth liner who would be cheap. So I don't think he's going to stick. I think he's up for these 2 games. I think Sammy Blais goes down. He's got about 2 weeks for a conditioning stint with Hartford during the All-Star break. Cooley gets a cup of coffee. Rangers see what they have in him. He'll end up back in Hartford, but it's nice to get a look at a young player. So we'll look at him a little closely. In next episode, we'll see what we got, because this is a possible future piece to the bottom 6. The Rangers are going to need in their bottom 6 with the salary cap crunch. Guys like Cooley and Brennan Hoffman and a few others to find roles on this team. So we'll see if he can do it and impress the coaches enough here.
A little surprising they did it against a team like Toronto.
Well, I mean, Coach, they took Kravtsov out, your least favorite player. So it's not like they really hurt the lineup too much, right? I mean,
well, what did he do for the last 5 games?
Oh, what did Gallant say about Kravtsov? Yeah, he's been fine. I wish he'd score more and finish his checks. It's like the analysis of like a 5-year-old who's just learning the game. Like,
what do you want him to say? You want him to call the guy out? He just said, obviously, that's what he's missing.
I think he should say, he's a 20. He's a 22. What he says about Laffy, the same thing. He's a 22-year-old kid. He's working hard. He's trying to earn his way onto the team. You guys can stop asking me questions about Kravtsov. He's playing well. He's going to sit sometimes. He's going to play sometimes. That's it.
So there's your answer. So that's it.
So that's what he should say. Well, when he's asked about Laffy, he doesn't say, "Oh, I wish he'd score more." He goes, "Oh, the kid scored 19 goals this year. He's working hard." Doesn't say that about Kravtsov though. Interesting. I don't think Gallant's a big fan of Kravtsov, but that's okay.
I agree.
I don't think Kravtsov the same player as Laffy.
I also don't think Gallant speaks like that the way he did, cuz.
No, he just speaks a lot worse. But yeah, I mean, look, Kravtsov is regardless if you like him or not, the kid's got a ton of skill. He's got elite level skill. He's a former top pick. He's a 22-year-old kid. He's still a prospect in a lot of ways, and he's still finding his way in the league. A lot of fans are going to be mad that he's scratched. Others are going to be happy. It's okay that he gets scratched here and there. We talked about this earlier in the year. He needs to fill out. He's just too skinny right now. He's like 6'3" and weighs what I weigh, and so it's just not enough.
What is that, by the way?
185. For you, what is it, like 250, Coach? Yeah, maybe it calls me out on the podcast to announce my weight. I balance it out. I got the gut, but I got skinny arms, so it all just balances out to like a normal weight. But anyway, speaking of Lafreniere, let's give a shout out to Laffy. He's been really fighting it. He hadn't scored since early December. He ends up with a greasy, hard-earned goal against Florida, his first goal in 18 games. He goes into the game tonight against Toronto with a 2-game point streak. So my question, I'll pose it to Little Ed, who's the biggest Laffy fan probably on this podcast. Are the floodgates finally going to open for this kid? I mean, 2-game point streak. I sent the Quagmire image. All we want from him is to produce, right? And he played really well against Florida. I thought he was the best of the 3 on the kid line, the most noticeable out there with his speed and his forecheck. And, he just looked pretty confident in that game, and he got rewarded with a nice goal.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I'm always the biggest fan of every player on the podcast, but
you're a big Laffy guy. You're just like, you got his rookie card. You talked me into buying it on eBay.
Oh yeah, I really had to pull your arm.
You owe me all the money on that because the thing is probably half the price now.
We'll see what happens in a couple
That's
of
a
years.
long-term. That's a long-term investment, Ed.
Yeah. Patience with Laffy. I mean, I think he's going to start. He's not going to break out this year. I mean, everyone's got to just get that thought out of their minds, I think. And I think we just got to take the bait or take the small victories, like you said. They have to just take a step. And I think that goal that he scored is an important goal. Get the monkey off his back. Remember the Bushnevich monkey? Get the monkey off his back. And
how can you forget that?
I don't think he's going to all of a sudden score a goal a game, but I think he's definitely going to turn a corner here. And hopefully the whole kids line is just going to start throwing up some points.
Well,
I don't need Laffy to score goals. A few assists here and there. I think he's more of a playmaker anyway.
Spoiler alert, he got an assist tonight, 3-game point streak now.
Beautiful play.
Look, in baseball, comparing it to other sports, again, when a guy's in a slump, sometimes you get that full swing, little squibbler to get out of the slump, and that's what that, maybe that's what that was. Let's hope so. He looked like he was a lot more happier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to look up at the board and see, 6th goal of the season and be like, oh my God, that's got to be a lot of pressure on the kid, number 1 pick, stuff like that. So getting that goal hopefully opens the floodgates. I was a game too early. I think I texted you guys he's going to score tonight, and I was a game early on it. Look, again, patience with the kid. We all want him to produce. We can be honest and critical of him and his play, but it's nice to see him playing with a little more confidence, being a little more noticeable out there. And I guess we got to credit Gallant for putting that line together, because that's when I really saw the difference was in the Florida game. You can really see a difference in his play. But anyway, anything else on Laffy before we move on to the broadcast banter?
I was the first one to see his goal in during the Panthers game. It was right there.
Well, they couldn't figure out if it was him or not, if he touched it, if Kako was going to get it.
Well, that's part of the banter. So
all right, let's just go. Let's just go into
the
banter.
It's a good lead in.
Let's just go into the
power play goal.
I can't with that picture. Where did you find that picture? Joe's like,
it's the best. It's the best.
Joe,
I tried
Joe
to find the close. Yeah, I tried to find a picture of them like close together like that, and it was too good, too perfect.
Well, Sam does.
I don't even know what I Googled to find it.
He turns his head like this and looks right at Joe, and Joe's like, it's a great. Did you have tuna for lunch?
Everyone head over to YouTube to check out what we're talking about.
All right, so first, let's give Sam a little credit. He did a couple interviews. Ed, you saw him on NHL Network, right?
Yeah, yesterday he was on NHL Network Radio. Everyone knows that I'm the liaison for NHL Network Radio around here. I listen to it pretty much all day long. Yesterday, he was on with I want to say Gordon Stellick in the afternoon. He had a nice 20-minute guest spot on that where he talked about the Rangers. I mean, they touched on a lot of things. A major thing was with Laffy and how everyone's got to be patient. And I don't know, Sam's we give him a lot of banter on here, but when he's in the interviews and when he's in his element, he's very good. He seems like he knows a lot about the game. I mean, he pays closer attention than we think, or than we can realize, I think. And I think during the games, he kind of just doesn't get nervous. Obviously, he's been doing this for so long, but he just fumbles over his words, and he just I don't know, for some reason he just seems a lot more focused and intuitive when he has an interview, when he's being asked specific questions. And then today he was on.
I mean, it's part of it.
Yeah, but then today I saw him again before this on NHL Network with Tony Luffman. That guy's a character, Tony. And once again, he had a great interview. This time he was on Zoom or on a video conference or whatever. Maybe he was on StreamYard. Shout out to StreamYard. But he had his 3 Emmys right behind him, so you could see his hardware, his trophies right behind them. And once again, they asked him a lot of good questions. They gave him a little bit of banter back and forth. They made fun of each other a little bit. And like I said, he's just great. He's a great personality when he's in his element like that. He's really funny. he made a comment that he was going to announce, even though he had the night off because the game was on TNT, he was going to announce it in his living room anyway and send the clips over to Tony. And Tony got a kick out of that. So did I.
Who's going to listen to all his stats he's going to give?
Joe Micheletti's probably next to him. Imagine they're just next to each other drinking beers on the couch.
No, he's with his family. He's with his family, and when Laffy got the point, he called Joe, and he's like, Joe, did you know that Lafreniere is a 3-game point streak? And he's like, yeah, we're off tonight.
We're off tonight.
Joe's like, click.
Yeah. Yeah. So, shout out to Sam. Man. Great interviews. And he really showed why he has those Emmys for sure. Because when he's put on the spot like that, he could definitely perform.
No, and look, we make fun of the fumbling of some of the stuff because the song is just absurd. But I mean, when I was a kid, I remember watching the game and the way he would pronounce guys' names, I would always assume it was correct. It would be like some foreign player, like Leschyshyn. I would look at it, it'd be like 10. Be like, how the hell do you say that? And then he would say Leschyshyn. I'd be like, oh, I know this guy did his homework. You know, he's always done his homework. He's very diligent. He's been around the game a long time. So shout out to Sam, still doing those interviews. But his commercials are funny too. He does those like little 30-second ads from like his kitchen. Remember during COVID he did one and it was like,
yeah, that was really funny. They use that as a meme now. Excuse me, it is.
Yeah. Excuse me. Oh God, the meme world is out of control. I haven't assimilated to it perfectly, but.
Yeah. So we're taking the week off of giving them some shit.
I don't know. Coach might have one or two. He said that was part of the banter. I don't know.
I mean, he missed the first Panthers goal. He's giving out these crazy stats, and he's like, "It's in." I'm like, what?
I guess no, Ed. I guess we're not giving him the week off.
He was giving like a shriek or something.
I don't know.
He's like,
because if you could just,
he always does that.
I don't know if it's possible. If we could just rewind and play that in slow motion, what Coach Ed just did, just like for the right now, just clip in if possible, just slow motion Coach Ed doing that. What? Oh God. Anyway,
yeah, he gets excited about his stats and. Sometimes, like, I'll be in the kitchen, like, putting something in the sink real quick, and I'll hear him announce the other team's goal, and I'll be, oh, yeah, what? Like, like he gets just as excited about the other team.
Yeah, what a
goal. He's all excited.
What a play. Yeah. I just love – the thing I love about Sam at this point, I think, that cracks me up, that I just laugh at every time, is whenever someone makes a nice play who's, like, a star player on the other team, he makes, like – a filler comment to transition from that nice play to like whatever's going on. So let's say like Barkov like makes a deke and shoots it wide, and then it goes around the boards and like Schneider carries it out of the zone. So between the shot wide and Schneider carrying it out of the zone, he'll be like, "Oh, that Barkov is dangerous," or something. Like there's always like a filler comment about how good the player is.
That shot.
Yeah. Oh, that's a dangerous man. You know, like something like that. It just cracks me up.
That's really good.
All right, so let's move on. We already did the coach's corner. So let's jump right into our stars of the week. All right, so we don't have to tease this. Little Ed, you want to announce our new structure here? How are we going to do this? We're going to hold it up? Like, how are we going to do it? We're going to go one by one?
No, we'll do it at the end. But, we got something out of Little Ed's workshop that everyone got for Christmas. And I'll show the top part of mine without everybody's. So everyone got a nice little whiteboard with their stars of the week.
You gave away every single answer.
Yeah.
And so let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's jump right into the offensive player of the week. And Little Ed, you just kind of shared yours. So why don't you start us off? Who's your offensive player of the week?
I went with Zibby. I feel like I haven't really been giving him a lot of love. And he's definitely been playing back to his old self, flying around the ice, being involved in almost every play. Whenever he's out there, you notice him. And, he's just playing really well. And he's putting points up as well.
Yeah, I went with Zibby too. I agree. I mean, two game week, 2-goal game. He gets it. I mean, that's pretty easy. Mike.
Yeah, I gave it to Mika as well. Seeing that power play goal against Florida right in front of me, I kind of dodged a bullet. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
Got a cannon, coach. Oh, he's showing the board. You got to hold it closer to the computer. Oh God. Yeah, that is a good way to do it.
I'm the only one that
he shows the whole board. He shows the whole board. All right, defensive player of the week. We're gonna jump
like on
to
Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, he's like holding the whole.
It's like Star Wars. Yeah.
Defensive player of the week. Let's all just bring it up a little bit. Defensive player of the week. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Foxy.
Foxy across the board. Little Ed Fox. Why'd you pick him?
I mean, he's just on fire. He's on fire. He's gonna get the defensive award, I think, until further notice. He's just he's unstoppable right now. He's the confidence with the puck, defense in the zone, takeaways, passes out of the zone. You name it, he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, against Florida, he had a goal, 2 assists, 3 points, +5, 2 blocks, and he did have a giveaway. But against
you have +3 on here.
Well, again, yeah, because against Boston he was -2, so that would be +3 if you do the math.
Gotcha.
But he also had.
Can you do it next week? Can you do game by game, then total 2 games? And
no, I don't have time for that. I barely have time to do this. Next time, I'm just gonna send you a link to Hockey Reference and just use that. But yeah, so also he had a couple takeaways. 4 blocks. I mean, the guy's just a stud, man. And his little moves.
He's playing with a little grit too against Florida.
There was a play against Florida. It was actually right before the Panthers scored the first goal, where he was in the corner with 3 Panthers, and then somehow he came out of the corner with the puck. And I don't know what happened because I wasn't there, obviously. I don't know how he came out of the corner with the puck, but that's the kind of stuff that Fox does defensively. That's a defensive play, right? It's an escapability that is just unrivaled. I mean, it might be the best in the league. Joe Micheletti would say top 5. No, I mean, I don't watch the whole league enough.
He might be the best in the world. He might be the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I don't watch the whole league enough to say that confidently, but I mean, it's got to be up there. His escapability is unreal with the puck.
I mean, I was telling Eddie on NHL there was I don't know, there's some high-level female analyst. She picked him as the Norris Trophy right now. Halfway through the season, that was her pick.
Was it Jackie?
No.
He would know Jackie. He's definitely playing with something, like he has something to prove. I think a lot of the critics or whatever, a lot of people were putting him out of the top 5 in the beginning of the season. And
how does he get a break against Florida? How did he get a breakaway?
And Lindgren was
partial breakaway. A partial breakaway.
Or whatever. He was ahead of every other Ranger.
And a partial breakaway, and the Rangers have had, and Valakekos, and the Rangers have had 88 partial breakaways this year and have scored 22 goals. So that's a 25%. I was like, where does Valley, how does he come up with this stuff so quickly? I mean,
clear sight analytics. He's got a lot of people.
But it is, I know, but a partial breakaway, it's interesting. No, the circle's in, I thought.
Circle in?
Yeah, top of the circle in or something like that. Maybe it was blue line. But I never really thought of it that way, that there's like a breakaway and then a partial break. It's an interesting way to think of it. I never really thought of it that way.
And he made that goal. He made that goalie look completely foolish.
Yeah, that was a sick move.
He was he almost snapped his leg trying to get back. How he overcommitted to one side, and he just did that little tuck backhand move again.
Well, Valley said when the goalie drops their right pad, that's when you deke.
Yeah.
So I wish I was taught that as a 5-year-old, but
yeah, but to execute it is another thing under pressure.
It's true, Coach. It's true. All right. highlight. Speaking of that beautiful goal, highlight play of the week.
Wait, that's not next, is it?
Oh,
Did I
wait.
put it
So
in
we have
order
to.
on the board?
Yeah, we got to go in the order of the board.
Order on the board.
All right, so we got to go in the order on the board. So yeah, usually we do highlight third. So we'll do the Jesper Fast Key Contributor Award.
Wait, why doesn't my thing work?
Oh, wow.
Wow, Coach.
Gerard Gallant. Coach gives it to Heats. Forgot the I in his name, but that's pretty good. So, Coach, I'm going to you.
If you guys have no idea what we're doing, head on over to YouTube to check it out.
I'm going to
and subscribe.
I'm going to Coach Ed with this one. Heedle with the key contributor. Give me a Coach.
He's all over the place. He's going. What do you have? A goal and an assist. He's
Cuz turn off your camera while he's talking about Heedle.
Yeah.
Quagmire. It's over there.
You got a goal and an assist. You got he's just playing with that. When I don't know what it is when he plays with the kids line, he's just playing hockey like he's on the pond. And he's just having a good time and he's making plays. He's on both ends of the ice. It's just a different player.
I thought you don't like when people play like pond hockey, like Panarin.
Well, I'm saying he's having that
free
like he's
spirit.
playing with his friends. He's playing with his friends and he's
enjoying
playing
himself.
hockey. He's enjoying himself. I don't mean that he's playing out of position. So I got to show him a little love.
I like it. I agree. Heedle's been good. Mike, you and I both took Laffy. Curious your thoughts on that.
You know what? He's fighting through something, and to me, he showed me that, he's willing to take all the bad critics or the bad play that he's had all season, and he's still fighting through it. And I really like seeing that.
Yeah, for me, it was just being in the doghouse for so many weeks and really just no points, nothing, and just seeing that confidence back. I thought he ignited that kid line. Heedle too, played well. I agree with Coach, but Laffy was definitely a big part of the success of that line against Florida. So I went with Laffy. And Little Ed, you took Gallant. I'm going to guess for formulating these magical lines that you're in love with. Is that what it is?
Not necessarily in love with. I think it was a very wise decision for him to call Jim Montgomery after the game on.
Jim was like, "Hey, why don't you try Trocheck with VC Gaudreau?" All right, that's probably a good line.
No, I think he found some good line combinations, and for now, if it's going to work for now, I don't think it's going to work for the rest of the season. I don't really foresee VC being that consistent every single night player that they're going to need. I mean, I'm not taking anything against him, but it's just not going to click for the rest of the season. Maybe VC's a bad example, but no matter what the case may be, Panarin's going to have to go somewhere else. There's going to be another player that's going to need a spark, that's going to have to play up on the first line or something. There's always going to be something, like we said, the trade deadline's coming up. But for now, they're working. And he deserves a little bit of credit for trying something new with Trocheck and VC, and for recognizing what you talked about before, that the kids just play better together. They have more confidence. They share the spotlight. That play, spoiler alert, tonight against Toronto was beautiful. They each touched the puck for the goal. So giving some credit to Gallant for making it happen, putting them back together.
All right. Well, I wouldn't give him too much credit. All right. Highlight play of the week. Everyone get out your blackboard. We got to come up with a better system by next episode, but this is what we got right now, guys. Sorry.
I like this.
Zibby goal after Laffy's for Cousin Ed. Zibby second goal versus Florida for Little Ed. Bread pass to Zibby. I'm assuming on the same goal for Coach Ed, and Fox's goal, the partial breakaway we just talked about, for Mikey. So three of us on the Zibby goal right after Laffy's, and Mikey with the partial breakaway. Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of those, any of those really. But Coach, you're giving it to Bread for the pass.
I just like I said before, I just love that whole play. The way Bread put the brakes on, did the Top Gun, and Zibby just got that open ice. more often than not, it'd be Brett hits that guy in the trailer, and it goes with no result.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I like it.
For sure. And I think, with the partial breakaway goal, Mike, in fairness to you, I think the fact that that's a Banajad goal and that play was 7 seconds after they just scored kind of brought a little more excitement to that goal. So I think if standalone in a vacuum, that the partial breakaway goal was probably was nicer. But yeah, just the 2 goals in 7 seconds and all that, it just kind of was really exciting,
I was thinking about giving it to Heedle's empty netter because he caught that puck real nice and put it down perfect. So
when he scored it
too, it was nice.
When he scored it, I had a nightmare in my I had an out of body experience where Coach Ed called me and was laughing about the fact that Heedle caught it and put it down into the net before he touched it. And I was like, please let that not have happened. Please let that not have happened. I was just in fear that he caught it and dropped it over the goal line and then hit it with his stick, and they would have called it no goal. Anyway.
Because he had the wrong lie on his stick.
Right. These are the kind of things that go through my head. All right. So it's time now for everyone's favorite award, Coach Ed's Copyright Doghouse Award. And we got the sponsor up there coming soon, Suiter's Sweet Treats, who sent us those cookies. So Meg and her sister are going to be sponsors for the Doghouse Award. So we'll have that more formal with an ad next episode. You guys got to check out their Etsy store. Their cookies are really, really awesome. And they're really, not only that, but they're so talented in how they come out that it's hard to eat them. So you're either going to buy these cookies and put them in a shadow box and display them in one of these cubby shelves like I got behind me, or you're going to enjoy the taste of them because they're really, really good. And they can do all different types of cookies.
They might be in that guy's Ranger room on the MSG commercial.
Yeah, I mean, they're really, really talented, and they're big-time Ranger fans and big fans of this podcast. So go support them. Check them out at Suiter's Sweet Treats. Check out their Etsy store. And all right, Coach, this is your doghouse. We're not going to do the doghouse with the chalkboard. We're going to stick to, I like the way we've been doing it. This is your doghouse. So I'm going to start with you. Last week, you put VC in with 1 step, and you had the 4-on-3 power play unit still in. 4-on-3 power play unit, surprise, surprise, has not had an opportunity to exit.
Well, it's going to be in until they have an opportunity, so you don't have to repeat it every time. But
no, I do, because they're in the. That's the way it works. So VC with 1 step, is he out?
Let's just get back to the cookies for a minute. What was surprising to me with those cookies was that they were soft.
Yeah,
I expected them to be crunchy. Because they were, a sugar cookie in a package. And when you bit into it, it was soft. It was delicious. But anyway, VC is out of the doghouse. I thought he had a good couple of games. Boston was I thought he played well against a team that was very difficult. I'm putting Kravtsov back in.
Okay. Surprise, surprise. And why is Kravtsov in? Because he got benched for no reason?
He gets you say that every time. He gets benched for a reason. You keep saying how high skilled he is. I don't see it.
You don't see the dangles he does between his legs going around defenders?
Yeah, now and then.
You see it more often than you see Laffy do?
I could do a dangle now and then.
Oh, give me a break.
Oh, baby. Prove it.
Oh, baby. Prove it.
Oh, I'm going to prove it. You just watch your back, Mike, when we play next.
No, I just listen. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, obviously, Coach. I don't see it. I think Kravtsov played really well. He's been back checking hard. He's showing a lot of potential. I just think he's got a lot of potential. Potential means it's untapped. It's coming, and I don't think
so was Christmas.
I don't think he earned a scratch or did anything to deserve being in your doghouse. So I'm just going to defend him a little bit. But all right, Kravtsov in for Coach. Well, there's no reason to put him in. He didn't do anything.
In your opinion. Exactly. He didn't do anything.
All right. Mikey, last week you had Laffy in. Is Laffy out?
Laffy got my key contributor this week. He is out of the doghouse for me this week.
And who's in for you?
I am leaving the house empty this week.
Ooh,
Wow,
Mikey.
empty from Mikey. All right. Well, last week go to you last, Little Ed. I'll go next. Last week I had Laffy in. I'm taking Laffy out as well. I gave him a key contributor award, and I'm putting Kreider in. I don't think Kreider's been horrible or anything, but I just, last year Kreider didn't lack any consistency in his game, and that's why he scored 50 goals. Now, we knew he wasn't going to score 50 goals this year, but for his game-to-game fluctuation, shift-to-shift effectiveness is problematic for me right now. I was kind of searching for who to pick, so I could have went empty like Mike, but I want to see more out of Kreider. He does the little things well still, even when he's inconsistent, like screening the goalie and that stuff, but I just don't see enough physicality from him. I don't know. I just need a little bit more out of his game. He's got to be a little more noticeable for me. That's
a good pick.
Little Ed, last week you had Sammy Blais and the 4-on-3 power play unit in the doghouse for you.
I'm taking the 4-on-3 power play unit out.
He's taking it out.
Because the reason why the power play failed that time is because they kept on trying to get the puck to Mika. I mean, I don't think they should continue to do that, but it did work against Florida. So we'll take it out for that reason, just because I don't want it in there anymore.
And you don't want me to say it every week.
You're right. So I'll leave it to Coach Ed to get creative next week. But
and what about Blais?
I'm leaving Sammy Blais stays in because he got sent down. He needs to be conditioned or traded or whatever.
Because Harper got a goal before him.
Yeah, but I am going to put the third defensive pair in there. I think they are taking some unnecessary chances. Schneider's getting caught out of position a little bit here and there, I think. He's not really recovering very well sometimes. I might be being a little picky or a little hard on them, but hey, I'm hard on Trouba when he needs to hear it, Fox, everybody. So, I mean, they're no different. So I think they need to step it back up like they were playing a couple weeks ago.
Okay. I mean, I haven't really noticed anything, but I'll take a close eye on their game and see if I notice it.
We were watching the Toronto game before. I know we keep teasing or spoiling it a little bit, but I noticed a few shifts in the first period, Schneider was kind of going out of his way to throw a hit behind the net and kind of putting himself out of position. I think he's going a little bit.
That's for next episode.
I know, but he did that in the other games also. I noticed a trend, and I really noticed it against Toronto. And a team like Toronto, it could definitely come back to bite you because they're a lot faster. They can avoid those body checks.
Yeah.
So
the one thing I'll say about Sammy Blais, and I've been pretty critical of Sammy Blais. A lot of fans out there, they're like, "Oh, trade Sammy Blais. He's a waste. It's a waste at this point. Whatever." I don't think the Rangers should really trade him, though. I know he makes $1.5 million, and it's way too much, but they don't need that salary right now. They can go get a couple pieces at the deadline without moving it out. And I think Blais really does need some conditioning. So I think this is good for him. And then I think as a 13th or 14th forward in the playoffs, who better than a guy like Sammy Blais? I mean, who the Rangers going to carry as the 13th or 14th forward in the playoffs that's going to be better than what he could bring in a series against Boston or Washington or a big physical team? Game 4, Washington beats us up physically. Guess what? You scratch Crafts off, you put Blais in. Like, makes sense to me. That's what they got him for. So to trade him as a dump when he has no trade value at all, for no reason, just to replace him with another comparable player, before getting to see the whole point in getting him was he's a playoff guy. That's literally all we've heard, and we've yet to have a chance to see him in the playoffs. So I don't think they should trade him. I think they should hold him as an extra forward and kind of just insert him in the playoffs when needed. That's what I would do. But a little defensive Sammy Blais, because I feel like it's flipped to the other side now a little too much. Fans, you got to stay level-headed. You always got to Go like this, right, Coach? Level-headed, even keeled, like me. Ride the wave.
Gerard Gallant.
All right. So is it? We got the 150 back. Mikey P is off his hiatus. He's off the hiatus, right?
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna bring it in for Mikey P with the Rangers Ed 150 right now.
Right now.
Before we get into trivia, it's time to throw it over to Mikey P with your Rangers Ed 150, the fastest 150 seconds in the National Hockey Podcast League.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rangers Ed 150. Sorry for the 2-week absence. I was on vacation in Boston, saw a couple Bruins games, including the first regulation home loss at TD Garden to the Seattle Kraken. But lots has transpired since we last talked, so let's get right down to it. Out west in the Pacific Division, the race in this division has significantly picked up in the recent weeks. Vegas is still in first place, but the Golden Knights have looked a bit listless through their recent games. They've dropped ones to the Devils, Coyotes, Red Wings, and Oilers since we last talked, and they're hanging on to that first place spot by the skin of their teeth. LA is in second place, followed by the Kraken in third, and the surging Oilers in fourth place. Lots of talk about this being the year for the Oilers with their run of success in recent weeks, but hate to burst your bubble, Oilers fans, your goaltending is still too inconsistent to win. And when 65% of your team's total points are from your top 5 point scorers, it's unsustainable, and it's not a formula that's going to win you a Stanley Cup. If you're mediocre on the back end and teams have the capacity to limit your top line scoring, you're just not going to win a cup. Standings aside, the Vancouver Canucks played their first game for new head coach Rick Tocchet after Bruce Boudreau was unceremoniously fired from the Canucks after some incredibly poor management decisions by Jim Rutherford. The Canucks did manage to beat the Blackhawks 5-2, but the fact of the matter remains the Bruce Boudreau situation was significantly botched, and you have to feel for Bruce. There it is. In the Central Division, the Stars continue to reign supreme in first place, but make no mistake, the Winnipeg Jets have caught Dallas and are only 1 point out of that first place spot. Dallas has stumbled a bit in the last couple weeks, dropping games to Buffalo, San Jose, Calgary, and the Rangers, while teams like the Avalanche and Wild seem to finally be putting it together. The Avs especially had it together in recent weeks. They're riding a 6-game win streak heading into Thursday night's clash against the struggling Ducks. Finally, of note in this division is the St. Louis Blues, who've activated Torrey Krug and Vladimir Tarasenko off long-term injured reserve, and have also announced that Ryan O'Reilly will be fit to play by the trade deadline, which puts this team in a very interesting situation as that date approaches. Back east in the Atlantic Division, no surprise, Boston is still holding on to that first place spot. After getting shut out by the Kraken 3-0 on January 12th, they have been on a 6-game heater. Seems strange to say this about this division, but it seems the playoff picture is all but locked up prior to the All-Star break, barring some monumental collapse by the Bruins. It would appear the first round of the playoffs will feature a Toronto-Tampa matchup, which doesn't seem all that great if you are a Leafs fan. Tampa has a very high-powered offense, and the Leafs have a very low-powered defense. Toronto is still in that number 2 spot in the division, however, but much like the Oilers, they're soft on the back end, as we just said, more so defensively than between the pipes, as it seems Ilya Samsonov has found a home on the Leafs with Matt Murray in and out of the lineup, but it's going to take a monumental effort to beat a team like the Lightning. Buffalo and Florida should also be in the back of your mind if you're watching the wild card standings. Despite having a terrible season so far, the Panthers are only 4 points out of that second wild card spot, while Buffalo has exceeded all expectations by leaps and bounds and are 1 point ahead of the Panthers and 1 point out of that second wild card spot with 3 games in hand. Finally, quick update from Montreal. Cole Caulfield's season has come to an end this week after it was announced he will be having off-season shoulder surgery, so putting the Habs 1 step closer to Connor Bedard. Finally, in the Metro Division, Carolina still sits in first place, followed by the Devils, Rangers, Penguins, and Capitals. Top 5 squads here, now 6 point separation on the 6th place Islanders, who appear to be just tanking their season after they did have a great start. Islanders are 3 for 50 in their last 50 power play attempts, and they're 1-6-3 through their last 10, which you just love to see. The Canes are still riding the three-headed monster between the pipes, with all aspects of their team firing on all cylinders. They're really going to need to pick a goaltender and go with them moving forward if they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs, as goaltending seems to be their only weak point, despite great performance from all 3 goalies. You just can't have a revolving door of goaltenders and expect consistency in the playoffs. After extremely poor run of play heading into the new year, the Devils have resumed their winning ways and are 8-1-1 through their last 10. They had a big win over the Golden Knights last night. That saw Dougie Hamilton put in the game-tying goal with 1:10 left in regulation and then pot the overtime winner to put the Devils up 3-2. A couple quick injury notes from this division. Firstly, it was good to see Chris Letang back in the lineup for the Pens last night after his second stroke and subsequent death of his father. After a crazy game, the Pens did pull out a 7-6 overtime win over the Panthers. And lastly, Max Pacioretty did return from off-season Achilles surgery for the Hurricanes. He played 3 games, tallied 3 goals, and then promptly retore the same Achilles, which will keep him out for the rest of the season and potentially the rest of his career, as he is 34 years old on a 1-year deal with the Hurricanes and coming off his second Achilles tear, looking for his next contract. So Max might not be making a return to the NHL, which is unfortunate. We got lots of good hockey coming up this week, so stay tuned for more updates next week. This has been your 150.
Guy's a beast,
Not,
man.
Not quite 150 seconds, but he had a lot
I
to
was
catch
going to
up
say,
on.
was that 150 seconds?
So a couple things. I like this new feature where it's live in and we can react to it. So Mikey, are they going to be able to see our reactions on the side while he's talking?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, that's great. That's a good feature. So a couple things. Damn, Pacioretty comes back for 3 games, scores 3 goals, tears the same Achilles.
Well, we have a pro over here.
That hits home because unfortunately I have torn my Achilles in the past. So to tear it twice, just like in the same after having surgery, I just can't even imagine. I really can't.
I can't imagine tearing my Achilles, man. It's like one of the worst pains you could probably feel. I don't know. I'll pass on that. That's crazy. But how? Also, would that put his career in jeopardy?
Mike, what do you think?
We need EA the PA to chime in on that eventually.
You may not. Yeah, she would have to chime in on that, but I mean, it took me about a year. I would say about 14 months just to like walk properly. So to tear it twice, you're talking about you might not be able to walk the same ever again.
Oh, geez, I have no idea. Well, that's from Dr. Constantine over here. So
Yeah, but you also got to remember, Mike was just walking. This guy's putting
Dr. Produces.
This guy's putting extreme pressure skating.
yeah, but he's not a pro
The highest
athlete.
level.
I understand that, but you're still putting a different kind of pressure on it.
He doesn't have the access to the doctors and the money and all that crap that goes into his rehab. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he can come back. That's tough. But also,
the only question I got from Mikey Produces is like, he's got not Produces, Mikey P 150. 2 weeks in Boston is a vacation.
yeah, but so
he
so
said
Coach,
it was a lot
Go
different
ahead.
than living up north of the wall.
So Coach, though, another thing that stood out to me, Carolina and New Jersey in the Metro, if the playoffs sit the way they are right now, and look, Pittsburgh and Washington are right there, so it might not. If the Rangers playoff bubble is New Jersey, Carolina, and Washington, I'm pretty confident that the Rangers are going to come out of those 4 teams at this point, at least.
It wouldn't be a surprise, I don't think.
No, I just I'm much more confident going into it this year than I was last year. Which is
I say bring on Jersey without a doubt.
Yeah, Jersey. I'm not worried about playing Jersey in a playoff series.
You have the goaltend. You have the best goaltender out of all 4 teams, just from the start.
Exactly. So
I would say you have the best defensive structure out of all 4 teams.
And you just know Tampa's going to beat Toronto in 7 games. You just know that's going to happen.
Oh, God.
I really hope now. I hope Toronto can win the first round this year. I feel bad for them. But all right. So Mikey Produces. We got our new board. Little Ed put a little trivia section on the bottom. So we're going to be writing our answers in on the board this time. And
Wait,
also,
I got another question about last week's trivia answer. Stepan.
That you got credit for without answering?
No, because I remember listening in the car to Silly's dad, like I said.
Yeah, Bear said it was on your way to Cal U Penn. we played Cal U Penn because Bear remembers specifically me telling him in the locker room that Stepan scored a hat trick. I was like, how do you remember that? He goes, I have no idea.
I thought it was going to freaking Chicago.
I don't doubt Bear's memory one bit.
No, he's probably right because that's what confused me when I thought it was Stepan, but when you said it was October, I'm like, wait a minute. They went to Nationals in like March. How was it October? That's what threw me off. No, I believe it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. I'm just showing him. He sent me the clip and everything of us holding
Anyway, that's what threw me off, Ed.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
What do we got?
All right, wait. So I want to establish something here based on last week's little asterisk for Coach Ed. You have a certain amount of time to write your answer down, and then that's it.
All right, I get it, Ed.
Okay, Mike, do you have a timer queued up? Because if not, we have to get a timer.
I do not have a timer queued up for this
All right,
week.
so
next week it definitely will.
It's the Jeopardy music then.
Jeopardy music plus or minus 3 seconds.
Okay. You're the ref. Go
After that last like boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it usually is. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, when on the show on Jeopardy, that's when it is. That's when they gotta have the answer.
Pencils down. All right, go for it.
In honor of the NHL All-Star break, what New York Rangers player won the fastest skater event at the 2012 NHL All-Stars skills competition?
2012?
2012.
I don't even know the roster in 2012.
What we got, guys? No points. Carl
Brad
Hagelin.
Richard.
Oh,
Brad
Hags.
Richards?
Yeah, he was a
Carl
fast skater.
Hagelin.
Brad Richards was a fast skater?
Yeah.
Nah, not in the league. Not overall in the league. Hagelin was an all-star. I didn't even know Hagelin was an all-star.
Did Hagelin make the All-Star game?
This is courtesy of Poppy O'Neill's Rangers calendar trivia.
He must have just been invited for the fastest skater. He has an asterisk.
He might have had 30
player asterisk
goals that season.
No, listen. Carl Hagelin asterisk. Player was part of the All-Star rookies. Participated in the skills competition, but not the All-Star game.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That's
that every year. I
I
remember that.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a trick question.
What'd you say about the question, Coach?
A little tricky.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really on the All-Star team. I wouldn't have guessed Hagelin because I don't remember him ever
He
making
said
Yeah,
who won
exactly.
the fastest skater, not who was on the All-Star team.
He said at the skills competition.
I get it. Yeah.
Which
I know.
you think
Coach also said he didn't know who was on the team in 2012.
that's true.
Well, that's true, too.
So Connor McDavid won it 3 years in a row. Wow. Anyway. All right, boys. Good episode. Enjoy watching the game. Spoiler alert, didn't look like a good ending. We will talk about it next week. Love these love this board, by the way. This thing is awesome. I wonder if you could somehow like maybe we'll like take a picture and send it. You can make it a post or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you guys to do. Everyone send
Just
me a picture of their board.
Yeah, let me just erase my trivia answer.
I already erased it.
He erased the
right
whole
one.
board already.
Ah, empty.
Oh, man. Love it. All right, boys. Well, good episode. Right to the point. We got a short episode next week. Then the All-Star break coming up. So we're going to do a little something special, I think, with the All-Star game approaching next week. I'll tease that again. We'll reveal it in the episode next week. Make sure you check it out. Shout out to our sponsors. Shout out to our fans. Shout out to everybody here. And shout out to Little Ed for all the Rangers Ed gear, the headphones, the hat, and the chalkboard here. I love it.
Let's keep it up, boys. Keep it up.
The only thing you should have put the little spring thing on it, like the clipboard.
Well, next time.
He's just Coach Ed's just full of ideas to improve us. You know. I mean,
Yeah.
This is true.
You're asking for ideas, you know.
No, your
Here's a
idea is what do we do with the jersey numbers when we hit episode 100? That's your.
I already gave you one idea. I'll come up
All
with
right,
another.
brainstorm a few.
All
A few.
right.
There's another Coach Ed idea to end the episode.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. See you later.
You guys have a good night.